Welcome everybody to Tropical Weather Update. Today is Monday, September the 23rd, and I have a somewhat urgent update here for a brand new potential tropical cyclone 1. And on the screen you can see the National Hurricane Center has issued its first official advisory on this storm because it is now a PTC 9. Sorry if I said 1, but PTC 9, soon to be tropical storm and Hurricane Helene. Right now it is located in the Caribbean Sea, but it is going to move by Wednesday into the Gulf of Mexico and then accelerate toward the Florida Gulf Coast. And therefore interests in the state of Florida, anywhere from Pensacola all the way to Naples, Florida, need to keep a very close eye on this storm, as well as inland areas, because it is going to accelerate as it approaches the coast. It is not going to stall, so it's not going to be a rain event, but it is going to be a storm surge event and a wind event wherever the center makes landfall. Looking at this map, the National Hurricane Center's current projection this far out is that it will hit somewhere east of Apalachicola and somewhere north and west of Tampa in the Big Bend area of Florida. So the Steinhatchee area, which has taken a beating from hurricanes lately, right now is in the crosshairs of the storm. But as you can see, the cone is pretty wide. That white cone shows Tampa all the way to maybe Fort Walton Beach as being within the crosshairs of a potentially catastrophic hurricane. So let's look at the actual tracks from the National Hurricane Center. This is from Levi Cowan at tropicaltidbits.com. And you can see again, most of the tracks show a landfall around the Alligator Point area and then traveling through Tallahassee, Florida. If this track were to remain, Tallahassee, Florida is in extreme danger at this point, because we are talking about what could potentially be a Category 4 or 5 hurricane accelerating as it makes landfall, and any cities even 100 miles inland are going to be in grave danger if this is the track. Looking at the GEPS ensembles, currently it has a similar track, Florida Panhandle being the most likely area of where it will make landfall. The problem with this storm is it's going to be intensifying as it is accelerating, and this model intensity guidance shows it potentially becoming a Category 4 hurricane. But even worse, I'm going to show you the HAFS-B model shows this as an 897 millibar superstorm in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico well before it makes landfall. But 897 millibars is clear Cat 5. I think below 920 millibars is Cat 5. 897 millibars is one of the strongest storms you'll ever see in the Atlantic Basin. I don't know what the record is. I think it might be 892. I don't recall, but I know it's in the high 800s is the strongest a storm has ever been recorded in the history of the Western Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, and Gulf of Mexico. So we potentially could be looking at a monster Category 5 by Thursday in the Gulf of Mexico. And then if you take the HAFS-B model, it goes kind of a little bit east of Alligator Point at about 919 millibars, which is still a Category 5 by Friday, early on Friday or late Thursday. The HMON model shows something very similar as it approaches the coast, maybe a little bit further east toward the Steinhatchee area, a 918 millibar, again, Category 5 superstorm approaching the coast. This scenario, though, is a little better for the Tallahassee area. The GFS model has it coming about the furthest to the east, but still around the Steinhatchee area and at about 950 millibars. But I've seen this as low as 935. Every run is a little different. But as you can see here, again, a Big Bend landfall, 950 millibars is still a Category 3 or 4 hurricane. So it's still a major hurricane. So all of the storm tracks and models are showing a major hurricane of 3 or higher at landfall, and the landfall location is anywhere from the Apalachicola area to potentially Cedar Key or so. That being said, we are way in advance of this storm, and we remember 2 or 3 years ago where we had a storm that was supposed to hit Tampa that wound up hitting Naples and Fort Myers area. So there's a lot of time between now and the time this storm makes landfall, and things change. And this track has shifted east even overnight. So if you live in Naples, Fort Myers, Tampa, you need to start preparing today just in case these tracks continue to shift east and we have a category 4 or 5 hurricane approaching on Thursday, which would get there a little earlier if it were to shift further east than what you see here on a late Thursday, early Friday landfall in the Big Bend area or in the Panhandle. It would probably be a little earlier if it were to shift east, because obviously that's further south. Anyway, this is all I have for now, but if you live in this area, you need to start making preparations now and keep a close eye on radio, TV stations for evacuation orders, and internet sources for the latest on what is soon to be Tropical Storm Helene, Hurricane Helene, Major Hurricane Helene, and potentially Cat 5 Hurricane Helene. And I don't like to exaggerate these things, so I'm not one of these people trying to hype this up or anything. We could be looking at a Cat 5 in the Gulf of Mexico by Wednesday or Thursday. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and share this message with anybody that lives in the west coast of Florida or the Florida Panhandle, if they're not already aware of it, which I assume they are. But thanks for tuning in. Give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't. I like doing these videos. I think they're informative and useful. A lot of people out there, though, doing it, and everybody's doing a pretty good job at tracking this one. So take care, everybody. Be safe, and keep an eye on this one. Thanks. Bye.